Welcome to Share Talk, the only podcast where investors come first.
Today we have CEO Gervaise Heddle of Greatland Gold, which is a ticker GGP listed on AIM. Hi Gervaise.
Hi John, how you doing?
Not too bad, thank you. Now, you've had some news out this morning about your acquisition of the Black Hills Gold project adjacent to Paterson. Do you want to give us some more details of this acquisition, please?
Yes, certainly, John. So, look, the Black Hills project is something we've had our eye on ever since we made the initial acquisition of the Havieron license, which we announced in September of last year. And look, we knew of the Black Hills prospect and always thought it was a very interesting prospect. It has the potential to host gold deposits similar in style to Newcrest's Telfer mine. Perhaps not something as big as Telfer, but it certainly has that same style of mineralisation, and it's also got known high-grade gold at surface. So we were like, okay, that's a very interesting prospect, but we didn't track down the owner of the prospect until recently, and then we had a discussion, and here we are.
Yeah, so I mean, you've acquired 100% of the rights. When do you expect to start doing something with the prospect?
Well, the good thing about this one, John, is that this is a granted exploration license. So once the transaction is completed, which should take place within the next 30 days, we can pretty much immediately start doing groundwork out there. Now, as it happens, it's going to be the height of summer out there by the time this completes in probably early December. So we won't be rushing straight out there, but our first job is really doing a lot of background work on bringing data together. The one issue with this project is that there's the data is broken up between several different people, and the team has a bit of a task in terms of getting it all together, putting it all in one database, reviewing it all. We know enough from the data we've seen to say that, wow, this is highly prospective and very interesting. I mean, to get these sort of grades near surface in the same type of mineralisation that you see at Telfer, we know enough to know that this is very interesting. But we want, before we start spending serious money on the ground, whether it's geophysics, geochem, or actual drilling, we want to make sure that we really understand all the data that's been collected by all the different people who've worked on this prospect over the years.
Yeah, I mean, a few people might be asking about the terms of the acquisition in terms of how you've paid for it. Do you just want to explain the reasoning behind the sort of cash versus shares option that you've gone for there?
Certainly. Well, let me just first say that I think this is a really good price for us in terms of being able to buy this type of prospect. So, Callum and I are both very pleased to have signed the agreement. We've left the vendor with upside, obviously, in terms of Greatland shares. So should we prove this up to be something very significant, the vendor also participates. But look, generally when we acquire exploration licenses for other parties, as we did in the case of Havieron and now here, what we like to do, our model is we're happy to give the vendor a small amount of cash to help cover some of their historic costs. So they've got something in their pocket immediately. But then most of the consideration is issued in shares of our company, which aligns their interests with ours and gives them some upside. And look, it certainly worked for the vendors of Havieron. They made a lot of money out of their shares in Greatland, and I believe they still own quite a number. And we just think it's the right way to do these things.
Yeah, okay. Is there anything more you want to say about this prospect today, Gervaise?
Well, look, there's a lot we will be saying. I think first of all, it's worth having a look at some of those rock chip numbers. Have a look down into the overview section of Black Hills Gold. There's below the section that talks about the terms of the acquisition. It talks about some of the rock chip samples have been seen up to 90 grams per tonne, but commonly, 20 grams per tonne gold rock chips have been seen with free visible gold in places. Drill intercepts. There weren't a huge number of drills done by Newcrest, and they were done very widely spaced. You've seen numbers such as 4 metres at 7 grams per tonne from 25 metres, 5 metres at 2.3 grams per tonne from 25 metres, more mineralisation from 23 metres, from 10 metres. So you're seeing, good grades near surface, and that's a great place to start. And you know what we think is that if we go out and we spend more money drilling there and start to bring in that spacing, what we're hoping is that we're going to find, in essence, and again, this is what we're hoping. There's no certainty in this, but we would hope that we could identify a mini Telfer out there. Bearing in mind that Telfer has produced 27 million ounces of gold to date. We don't think Black Hills will ever be that big, but if we could find something just a fraction of that size, that'd be a great outcome for us.
Okay, great stuff. I mean, one other thing, just to note, obviously the Telfer mine's sort of main sort of output is obviously gold, but I mean, is there potential for copper there as there is in the sort of the rest of the Paterson region?
Yes, there is potential for copper there. We're looking at it as primarily a gold prospect, but there is the potential for copper. What's different about this relative to Javieron and the Paterson Range East, so the rest of our Paterson project, is the rest of the Paterson project is in essence targeting IOCG style deposits, so iron oxide copper gold deposits, which tend to be very large deposits, and you get real mix of elements, often including rare earths and uranium. What we're looking at in Black Hills is more a traditional Telfer style of mineralisation, which is more your typical, I don't know if anything's typical, but it's more your standard, gold deposit, and that's what we're primarily looking for there. So it's not the same as some of the things that we're working on further to the east, and it's also much shallower than some of the things further that we're working on further to the east as well. So look, we're very excited about this, and I think this prospect could be very significant for us in the months and years to come.
Okay, great stuff, Gervaise. So thank you for being on the show today.
Yeah, thank you very much, John.
That's Gervaise Heddle, CEO of Greatland Gold Plc, ticker GGP on AIM.
Thank you for listening. Remember to visit our website for more news and other podcasts at www.share-talk.com.